May 2025, two absurdly opposite things happened in tech. First, Builder.ai, a unicorn that had raised almost $500 million in funding, imploded because they were using humans instead of AI to do their work.
I think people should forget the word coding. You're building a restaurant, you don't understand how the kitchen is built.
On the other end, Duolingo had its worst PR crisis in history because the CEO said that they were going AI first, that they were going to use AI, not humans, for their courses.
We're a company that really cares about our employees.
This contradiction is the evidence of where we are now in tech, but also a symptom of the root problem, AI washing, and this playbook that startups need to use to get ahead. Because companies like Builder.ai seem to prove riding this wave of slapping AI keywords on your product, stamping AI domains and labels works. So today, I'm exploring some of these companies and how their founders managed to convince investors, big tech, sovereign funds, to invest in companies that in the end are really just smoke and mirrors.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Let's first get on the same page about the Builder.ai story, because these guys started this company before AI was cool, or at least such a hot topic as it is today. It was first a pure, unapologetic dev shop, making beautiful software. But dev shops aren't sexy or venture backable. They can't get sweet checks from tech investors because they just don't scale very well. So around 2016, the founders came up with this brilliant marketing tactic. Let's just slap an AI label to the service and call it Engineer.ai.
We'll take your dream and make it real.
Now, the idea here wasn't crazy, like use building blocks, i.e. recycle some code instead of building stuff from scratch. Okay, maybe fair. But their AI and their team, intentionally blurry about the split of labor there, they would put this all together. Now, AI existed before ChatGPT. We had figured out machine learning, and the difference was that AI hadn't really been put in the hands of everyone in a way that you could understand it, in a way that the average person could see what AI could do for them. AI was slapped into many of these tools pre-ChatGPT, but compared to what we have now, honestly, it was kind of primitive. But their neat AI rebranding kind of worked, and they launched this Natasha assistant that helped you build the app. And the truth is that this was solving a real problem, because there are thousands of founders who have this idea for the next big thing, but they can't convince their friend who's an engineer who they offered 1% of the company to build it for them. I wonder why.
Our first programmer graduated and went to work for Google. Our second programmer just got overwhelmed with schoolwork.
So you'll never hear me recommending you to go to a dev shop to hire the first product for a startup, because good tech companies are built where the founders have the vision and the capacity to build that tech themselves. But there's a lot of other shit that founders need to deal with, like crawling through thousands of lists to find investors that might care about their companies, or like writing a decently bulletproof pitch deck, or understanding how a cap table works. And our platform Slidebean helps exactly with that. We started this company 12 years ago. Millions of companies have used Slidebean to write their decks, budget their rounds, or just learn how to navigate these early stages. So we stopped counting, but in our last check, over $500 million had been raised by startups that used our platform. And Slidebean is just $12 a month for our sole service plan. We also have a couple of subscriptions that include one-on-one time with my team and with me to help you deal with this other mess. You can sign up for free here or here. Okay, so let's assume that sales were enhanced by Natasha. And then in 2018, they raised a $29 million Series A round.
I'd like you to welcome a man who knows more about AI than most.
Now, according to Entrepreneur India, they were on track to double their last 12-month revenue, which was $23 million. It's a number that we're no longer too sure about, but I'm gonna get there. Still, this is crazy growth, revenue, AI buzzword. It's hard to pass for an investor. But hear this, in that article, they openly bragged about the 32,000 engineers that they had in their network. Like, nothing says AI powered like having 32,000 humans doing your coding work. But the point is that there was no hiding that this was a dev shop. Like, AI was just really the scoping tool. But the message then started changing.
Why can't we get an AI to write majority of the app? We built something that apps and humans work together. And we've built software and an AI called Natasha that allows anyone to build custom software like ordering pizza.
How much was built by artificial intelligence?
So the BBC Quick Live app, actually 82% of it was built autonomously in the first hour.
Ted, it's a well-known statistic that 83% of people married longer than 6 months are seeing someone on the side.
Do you know that when you make up a statistic, you always use 83%?
But the Wall Street Journal called them out in this expose that they published a few months later. The spokesperson for Engineer.ai said the platform calculates prices and timelines for customers entirely autonomously, with part of that process using natural language, blah, 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 AI designed to recognize speech. And the company also uses a decision tree. Like, trying to pass a decision tree as AI is like saying the subway map is like a neural network. I mean, like some employees actually confessed even further. They said that pricing and timeline calculations
are generated by conventional software, not AI, and most of the work overall is performed manually by staff.
Fast forward a couple years, they survived this PR crisis. They managed to rebrand themselves and to make people kind of forget their problems and the whole expose. They raised a suspicious $65 million round of funding in 2021, but there's no lead investor listed in Crunchbase. There's no press about it. It's weird. So much money raised with no investors kind of claiming the round. There was no question about their Series C. $100 million raised from inside partners because their revenue grew 300%, supposedly fueled by the pandemic. Right. Again, we know now this might have been a lie. An investigation by the Financial Times revealed that, for example, in 2024, they reported $220 million in sales, when in reality, it was just $55 million. Same for 2023, $180 million in sales reported, and then only $45 million after the adjustment. That's not a rounding error in your financial model. Like that looks like true, blatant scamming to me, just like multiplying revenue by 4. Come on. The auditor who signed off on all their books had links to Dougal, their founder, from working together at previous companies, and is suspected to have helped fake the numbers. Now, right around this time, the other company founder, Saurabh Dut, was in deep shit of his own, because his uncle's company, a large Indian conglomerate called, no kidding, Videocon, no pun intended, had gone belly up, and he was implicated in this potential money laundering scheme to get money out of the country. Now, the company tried to reshape its story. It said that Dut wasn't really a co-founder, he was just a friend, but the thing was imploding faster than they could cover it for it. Allegations of fake client logos on their website and fake reviews all over the internet, all this stuff continued to surface. All while you had all these real reviews of people kind of revealing that something was really, really wrong in the way this company was doing business. And here's the crazy part. It worked. Investors still gave them more money. With this partnership/endorsement from Microsoft, they went on and raised another $250 million. This is a Series D now for the company that valued them in over $1 billion as a unicorn. Like, how do they keep getting away with it? Like, this round happened only a few months after ChatGPT was announced. And so if you're an outsider to startup funding, I think there's a before and after the launch of ChatGPT, because ChatGPT democratized AI and it put it in front of everyone. Now, on one hand, ChatGPT exposed a lot of companies that were just using AI as a marketing slogan and not really doing anything powerful with it. But on the other hand, you didn't need to understand LLMs or AI or machine learning to see what this thing was capable of doing. And that includes investors that now were hyped about it. Now, a fair share of investors, they don't invest based on their long, extended industry knowledge. They just invest out of hype for good or worse, but I'm gonna get to this. For Builder.ai, even if you're reporting fake revenue, like money is still leaving your bank account and not coming in. And so the company had to finance an extra $50 million line of credit in 2024. Now, according to this leaked email, Builder.ai might have been spending around $30 million per quarter. That's $10 million a month burn after revenue. Dougal was ousted in early 2025. A new CEO was brought in, but as the mess continued to be aired, the lenders closed the line of credit and forced the company to file for bankruptcy. I honestly feel a little bit for this replacement CEO guy, because he was just like hired to supposedly run this $1 billion unicorn, but really just to take the fall for it. So we have this perfect storm of two variables. The first one, AI washing, because I wish this was some outlier story, but there are striking similarities to another much more familiar tale.
What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store? Computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. Grab what you want and just go.
Now, it started around the same time, first beta store in 2016, 2 years for the first real store to launch, but only a year after, they started adding cash registers to their New York store. Why do you need cash registers if this is a perfect just walk out system? Now, they continue to expand to more and more stores. They put it in airports and in larger grocery stores. But an expose by The Information in 2023, I think, revealed that 70% of Amazon Go just walk out transactions had to be manually reviewed by a team of over 1,000 workers in India. So now Amazon claimed that they were just training the AI, right? But store closures started not long after this, or just replacing AI for good old self-checkout stations. Nate, for example, is a $40 million funded company, supposedly an e-commerce site that was using AI to buy stuff for you from the best retailer. It was really just a team in the Philippines. The founder was charged with fraud in early 2025. And then of course we have investment firms. A couple of companies like Delphia and Global Predictions had supposedly were using AI to take your money, invest in the stock market. You know, they were fined by the SEC because it was just a lie. There's a lot that artificial intelligence can do for productivity, and I am excited about that world, and I am one that's also building stuff for that future. And AI isn't replacing team leads or product managers anytime soon, but I really believe that it's really close to allowing that productive employee to do the work of 4 employees. And that brings me back to Duolingo, by the way, because I honestly don't think that Duolingo's CEO was in the wrong. He just made like really bad PR. Because I bet that most of those rant comments on TikTok were from people that were never really going to pay for Duolingo at all. And AI conversations in Duolingo seem like a perfect use of AI to me. And AI is on its way to really replace a lot of jobs. I genuinely believe that. But the irony is that it's us humans who are training it to do it. But I think that's a topic for another day. But I want to focus on the other topic, the ecosystem that lets this stuff to happen, that becomes an enabler to this, because we're seeing it time and time again. And I say this as an actual part of this ecosystem, because Builder.ai came out saying, hey, we're not a dev shop, we're AI. Kind of rings a bell with, we're not a real estate company, we're a tech company. Like when Adam Newman filed the S1 to take WeWork public, he had come up with some imaginary numbers of his own, like community adjusted EBITDA. Like maybe not as blatantly obvious as multiplying your revenue by 4, but both of them were after the same thing, investor funding. And for many years, for both of these companies and both of these founders, this stuff worked. And for every scammy founder that gets away with this shit, like there are thousands more grinding, like trying to build real companies that they're truly passionate about. But here's the problem. We are all competing for the same capital. And we all kind of have to play by those rules. Now, I don't mean to pretend that any idea should raise funding from investors. Like investing in startups is not a charity. It's honestly a really risky business. And the truth is that most ideas are bad and most teams don't have what it takes to execute them and see them through. But because of how the ecosystem works, part of what it takes to build a tech company is precisely your capacity to raise. Because each round of investors is really just a bridge to the next one. And sadly, I think that's pretty much the only way to build a really meaningful, impactful company, a potential unicorn in 7 years instead of 30. So a startup founder is pretty useless if they can't raise money. And that's a shitty but cold reality. And that's why you see, fake it till you make it posters on real startup offices, always be closing, never give up. Like I want to believe, for example, that at some point, Elizabeth Holmes, who founded Theranos, wanted to build something that would change the world and didn't start with the whole purpose of just scamming her investors and risking going to jail. But I genuinely want to believe that many of these founders set up to build real companies, real businesses, but were forced or at least twisted at some point of the journey by this ecosystem into pretending to be something that they're not. Whether it was to get rich while the hype was still there, or to avoid failure, because how far can never give up or don't take no for an answer go? If you take that sentence at face value, you could interpret it as lie about your metrics to raise money and keep the lights on. Now, this video is gonna be live on YouTube for a while. I might be very wrong about this. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, you should look into our comparison between the dot-com bubble and today's bubbly behavior. Also, if you're a startup founder, don't forget to check out Slidebean. Catch you on the next one.